Senses is תחושת הסנסס, קוראים לזה באנגלית, ורגשות זה emotions. I'll be using רגשות and emotions, רגשות ותחושות and senses and emotions. It's very simple. תחושות, senses. He created a person with the 5 senses, which is taste, touch, hearing, seeing, Spanish? Smell. This is the body does it without. It's automatic because it's atzmis, it's the person himself will call it. But once you feel something, in senses we call it, in tchushot, that's where this problem starts. That means I always say that a very good motion. A child comes to the chayda, and the Rebbe comes late that day. The Rebbe walks in, and the child goes over to the Rebbe and shows him his watch. And the Rebbe becomes very, very upset. He never came late. Number 2, it's not tough because from a child to show me. But you can't get angry, you can't. So he ignores the child, and he's inside all aggravated. The next 2-3 hours he's not concentrated. If that's not enough, comes recess, hafsaka. Everyone goes out to play. And this child comes again to the Rebbe and shows him his hand. But this time he told him, Rebbe, see what a nice watch my father bought me. That means there was senses, he saw it. But then comes the cognitive part to explain what he saw. And that's where he got messed up. He explained it in a negative way, so the emotions were in a negative way, and he couldn't use any of his senses. He didn't see anything, he didn't hear anything, he just waited to this, he couldn't concentrate whatsoever. But afterwards, when the child comes over and shows him that it's very chush of him, his appreciation that he's going to be happy that it, and he didn't tell to anyone, only to me. So suddenly it's not only he wants to drag me down, so then the explanation turns all the way in the other direction.
Possible.
So you call it efrat. There's something called efrat. Aleph, Pei, Reish, Tuf. Efrat is Ushatev, as I say in English, but in the call it Efrat, is Irua, a happening. Pei is a parshanut, explanation. Reish is the regashot, emotions. And Tuf is the guva, how do I act? Every action that a person does is the machine behind it is my emotions. And the emotions come from my explanation that I explain the place that I am. So you come into someone, Usha says a person come into a chasana, and someone tells him hello, he's happy all the way up, and he's loose and suddenly goes by and sees somebody that's just spoke to him today, and suddenly he ignores him altogether. It goes down, and that's the way life goes. Sometimes once a day, and sometimes every second. It's that puts us into a roller coaster. I can't tell you. Which I call it, if you want to bring it to a mushal, I call it the mushal of a tree. That you have the leaves, the branches, you have the trunk, and you also have the roots. The leaves, the branches are moving all along, and according to the wind. Same thing as our emotions. Move according to the wind. What's the wind? Your explanation, however you explain it. What do you explain? You explain your senses. That is the trunk. It doesn't move so fast, but the trunk of the gezerets gives the signals up all the way up there. Then are the roots. The roots, soon we'll get to the roots, what that is. That actually is the real thing. What is called the real thing? The real thing is that you can cut off the branches, you can cut off the leaves, you can cut off the trunk, as long as there's a light machibah there, whatever you need for this. You can always take it here and there and plant it in somewhere else. And there are also a lot of trees, very high, beautiful, but the smallest wind throws them over. They're massive trees, what they call it, sakonia, they told me, whatever it is down in the Yellowstone Park. Sakonia, Yellowstone Park, the Israelis know better than we know. That cars go through, and they start going, see what's the secret. The secret is very simple. The roots go the deepest that they can, and they spread from one to another, keep themselves, so one gives strength to the other, and that's where they keep on going. So it's once they're working in a team, as we call it. So the whole halach is altogether different. So then even if the branches get wild and the trunk, but it'll still grow back. So now the question is, how do I do, we say that those are the simcha tetzeiah. How we're going to go out of gulis, we're going to go out of simcha. That's all we have. If you want to know if you're in gulis, in geila or in geula, all you have to do is know if you're besimcha, if you're not besimcha. Also, we have something that a person is besimcha, is out of galut. A person is not besimcha, is in galut. So what is simcha? Is it a emotion or is it a sense? Is it something the question is how I explain it? Or is it sense, it's part of me?
Just a quick question on the explanation. Is it explaining it comes from everyone's personal history? Or different experiences?
Okay, so the more the person's messed up,
the more difficult
he has a problem to explain it.
Yeah.
I'm coming to the derech at the end of the day. You ain't gonna run away this time. You understand what I'm saying? That means What is simcha? So the question is, what kind of simcha you're looking for? If you're looking at simcha of regish, or you're looking at simcha, we call it pnimius or chitzonius. Simcha of chitzonius, put on any music, any trance they call it these days, and rock, whatever, jazz, whatever they call it these days, and get you dancing if you want or you don't want.
And is it really simcha?
Huh?
Is it simcha?
Are you looking for real? Is it simcha or not?
At that moment.
At that moment, it's simcha. And what happens when the music goes off? It's off. So we have to find a way. Mishenechnes uda marben besimcha. Mishenechnes uv mematen besimcha. It doesn't say mematen. You have to do less outer things to get the simcha. And in uda you have to do more chitzonis in order to get the simcha going more. But the simcha shouldn't be touched. Mishenechnes uv. You take those things, I will besimcha do it. Shenechnes uda, you can start doing wild things, but don't lose the simcha. Sometimes people get wild, and it's not a simcha anymore. At my age, you come into chasans these days, and you have that noise, and you have that...
אז אמרנו בממתים זה רק לדברים החיצוניים.
You can add on chitzonius, but as long as your simcha is there. There was a chushavid just to come to my chasanas. He was Unsdorfer from Pesachtikva, Montreal, schwer from the sounds of. And every chassan used to come. Rebbe, do me a favor. Tell him to stop all the instruments. I want to hear you sing. That's all I need here. Jetzt stellt sich auf die Keile, man will auch hören singen. Ich will hören, Azema, hat gesagt. Der Ausschmiss, ich habe Nachman, Azamlo. Sometimes the song is something, the highest thing that can be. Connects you to my essence, connects you.
וזה לא...
לאט, כל מסביר. אתה כבר רוצה... אתה...
You want a summary, okay, what are we...
I'll summarize. How many years you know already?
We're waiting.
I always summarize. And that means that if we get to that place of simcha, and simcha has to do with yeshiv adas. And in anything, and this is something personal, a person that is traumatized, anything blows his yeshiv adas. So he must have something that doesn't take away his yeshiv adas. The music adds on the connecting to himself, which will soon explain what it means connected to myself. But if the music takes me away my connection to self, what is myself? The Buddha said myself is my helplessness. So once my helplessness is getting worse through this noise, so it didn't help me enough. I have my traumatizing that gets me off track. You're going to take me now to this I can't see. So the people that sit all night on the flight, they must see action, and otherwise they're gonna go crazy. And the people just at night, all they need is sitting on the plane with a book, and give me a little bit quiet. What's the difference between these people? These people don't want action. As soon as the plane gets, as soon as the fasten seatbelts goes off, they're walking around the plane already. They're trying to get faster to New York. The people that are there to be, we call it. They're sitting, and they got out of the window a little bit. and they have to get stretch themselves, but nothing beyond that. So it's a work that a person has to do on himself, which is, it's individual, it's not... It's individual. The ishiyut, the personality of the person, is how long can I be in a stress and I shouldn't mess up my mind. Once I'm in a certain stress which messes up my mind, it's my personal, I just disconnect, which there's disconnecting that you yozem,
Yozem?
Yozem.
To go with it?
No, it's wrong. You're the one that produces it. That means we call, either you go into meditation these days, reading, Chassidim is to go out to the field, davening, nigging. It's levels. The deepest is breathing, because then you're connected to actually what you are. Because without breath, you ain't around anymore. So the more if a person starts doing the breath or the targelei neshima, they call it these days, the more you go into that, the more you're focused on yourself. The more you're focused on yourself, the more the Yeshua Das comes back. You don't let any disturbances come in. And that you can do even when you're in the biggest noise. But it's harder. So if a person goes out and chaps a little bit air, and whatever way he does it, he gave us once a week, we call it the Shabbos. There's an order we should connect. So the person has to know, if there's no Yeshua Das, then the emotions take over, and that means the explanation takes over the emotions, and the emotions takes over the whole thing, and the man gets messed up altogether. Geht mal weiter. Where said I was in the go in the Shabbos, Atochoin and Lodem Das, and Malamed La'enosh Bino. As the go, where does the word Enosh come in here? Atochoin Lodem Das, and Malamed Bino, Malamed Enosh Bino. So the go says Atochoin and Lodem Das. The one that gives me the Das is a Kodesh Baruch Hu. He gives me Das as two explanations. Das can be, I have more knowledge, that which is called the explanation. But Das is also connecting to my roots. The more I'm connected, Das is Vayeda Hu Udam is Chavasham, is Ishtar. That means the connection is something intimate, which is more spiritual. And when I'm connected to my spiritual, when you're connected to the Bansham, we call it, you're connected to your essence. You're connected to your essence, atzmius, to your roots. When a person's connected to his roots, he's much more connected than he's only connected to the chitzonius. So I'm going to come back to this soon, just remind me. Where did all this happen? That suddenly we're looking for simcha outside. Why should I be looking for simcha inside? Well, what is simcha? Simcha is when I feel myself menicha, how do you call it? Calmness. Simcha is Kodesh Baruch Hu created the world. Klim le'isu behema chaya v'of. Did you ever see an animal worried where's she going to get food from? They go out and they come back with food. And we didn't go out yet. We have a job, we have everything, but we're all caught up where we're going to get the food. So the Gemara Kukalti Maasai steht da, aber oisies Maße, wie kalti panasusi. I messed something up, and then I lost my panusa. How does this panusa go? Oh, Shalom Aleichem, you made it. Shkara. Last time you came late, I think, when was this? You always come on time. Shkara.
In Spinka, we're always on
Last
time.
time, there was a shiur, and I wasn't there.
Talking with my son, I didn't stay.
Yeah, but they came, I think.
They came, I think, at the end.
I wasn't here anymore. I was here.
You guys came last week.
I went out somewhere.
We had, it was good. We had Tichas Chaveri.
It's at the tachlis what we're getting to. Because there's nothing else that connects myself to myself as talking to someone else.
סתם לדבר?
Huh?
סתם לדבר או...
No, הם אומרים שהיה להם שיחת חבר. So actually, the homework that you have to do is, if you want to know, says the Busha, if you're going in this mahala that we're talking about, how much can you connect the people? That means connecting to a person is actually the exercises that a person has to do. As we said before, you come into Chasana and you're only looking for the smile, and you're not looking for the person himself, which is you yourself, so then you're going to lose it somewhere. So that makes no difference if a person is smiling or not smiling, but my simcha don't take away. But once you're going to go into the explanation, which that is emotions, and your essence, your atzmius, is simcha, or someone has to explain why it's simcha, then nobody can take away your simcha. So the homework for that, as Busha calls it, achdus. In order that he should speak to him and he speak to him, he's a little older, he's a little younger. That we get very easy, but there are all kinds of differences between partzifeim shoynes, they are same shoynes. Nobody's here the same. In order to connect one to another, if you're busy only what explanation that minute that you're explaining, so you want to make it easy, and you say anyone that goes with such glasses is like this. Anyone goes with such glasses, like that. People have all kinds of coat, dressing.
How not to connect.
What?
How not to connect.
How not to connect. But once you made up your rules, so actually you're the one that messed yourself up. Once a person has to be connected to himself, and he knows that there gives me the calmness, as we said before. So we're saying, for where does calmness come from? We find in the Torah very simple. Because Baruch Hu created the person, human being, and he was in Gan Eden, Gan Eden, and he had everything that he needs. It says, Vayanichehu. Yanichehu means Manicha. It's tranquility, everything was there. It was missing. The olden days was missing, the Ein Sof was missing, we were part of the Bunshlam, but it wasn't bad. Why? Because in this world, we have all kinds of ways to come to certain spirituality that we couldn't come before the creation of the world. We're not going to go into that. We spoke about it a few times. So everything was fine. Who messed it up? When Nuchash comes around and says, eat from the Chet Etzadas, that's the first glitch, as we call it. What does the Torah say? What happened right after that? Vayedu ki arumim hem. Suddenly, they saw themselves naked. So the Haflua asks, I don't understand. They were naked from the first day. It didn't happen now. So if they were dressed and they lost their dress for there, but they were never dressed. So where did they lose it? Says the Haflua, I think it's the Yosef one of these days, that it doesn't say vayiru kiyaruhem. It says vayedu kiyaruhem. What is vayedu? They saw themselves naked. But every part of their body, the Kodesh Baruch Hu made it complete. Everything in the body has a certain toughness that connects to this human being. As we call it in English, even the reproductive organs are there to do something positive, not to do something negative with it. So as long as you are v'yanechei, you are not triggered by anything, you are menicha, so you walked around, you didn't just like your hand, says the Baratanya. You look at your hand, and you don't get nervous that there's nothing on it. Why? Because the hand was then like tefillin. So anything he saw the Moshe will call it. That means when a person is connected to his atzmius, we should call it gumel ale imay. He's just like the small child that is on his mother's arm, and it's tranquility, it's quiet. But simcha we learn from a small child, he used to say. And a small child, when the mother takes care of it, doesn't know what a mother is, doesn't know how to take care of himself, doesn't know how to prepare, clean himself, nothing. But being taken care of, that brings simcha, the anichei. But once you started eating from that eitz hadas, toiv v'ru, that means suddenly you got a new image, not the image of the Rebbeinu Shalom, you got something which is called self-image. Once people are all busy, who am I? That means there's an I and a you, that's when things get messed up. So then, suddenly, it's like, I become ashamed. The shame, the Sfas Emes says before the Chet Etzadas, there was no I in you. It was all I, the Rebbeinu Shalom, I am. But when it came to after Chet Etzadas, it started something ani, the ayin. Then we're looking for the ani much more than we're looking for the ayin. And then I have to, and I see this part of that ani that I have to cover up because it's problematic here for that ani. But as long as you're living with the ayin, if he's okay with me, I'm okay with him. How do I say? If the Rebbeinu has patience to me, I have patience to everybody. The problem starts when I don't have patience to myself, so I can't be patient with anybody. So the more I'm connected to the essence of the Rebbeinu, that means I'm more connected to the image of the Rebbeinu, B'Tselem Elokim B'Odam, the less I don't need explanations, because this is me. When the explanations come in, when I'm starting busy with my self-image, that means ani. That means yesh atzmi v'yesh atzmiut. Atzmi, that is my body, that is my chitzonis, we call it. And the atzmiut is my pnimis, which this all started the minute came around Uda Merishon, Chava, and it's not by chance. It's part of the creation. But since then, we're always looking to connect to we call it my greater power, because the ani is at the end of the day must have its life from the infinite, not from the finite. But the finite is something that is, I see myself. I can stand in the mirror and I see the finite. I don't see the infinite. So the infinite is hiding. So that I might look very good. I can stand at the mirror 2 hours before I go out in the street and I look $1 million. But inside I can be all messed up. But I understand now it looks $1 million. So the more I meet people and I need the feedback, as we call it, from them, because they should see what watch I have, and what shoes I go, and what this, and I need the good words. So if I got it, I'm up. I don't get it, I fall down. But anyone that is connected to himself, he'll always find himself in simcha. So simcha is actually it's just like a child that is helpless, but it senses the mother coming into the room. It's happy. Without any explanations, it doesn't know what the mother is, doesn't know what the mother can do, cannot do. That brings happiness. Yeah, that's what you're here for.
I mentioned that before the Etzadas there was no the ani and that too, and there was no the ich mit there, but then at the same time there was a swing that we need to connect to ourselves. So how do we define where's the ani, where is the bad part, and where's the ourselves, which is the good part?
That means the way to connect myself is only through of acceptance, that I accept myself, that I am failure.
Being okay with ourselves.
Being okay with myself with our blemishes.
Without judgment.
Without judgment. Because the only way that you can get to your essence, to your atzmius, is when you agree to get there. The bullshit calls it balkor chachatochai. That means you have to force yourself, because the ani will give you explanations from today to tomorrow. It will give you regashot, emotions. It will give you senses. You can swear that you see this guy hates me, and all kinds of explanations. As we call it, explanations, emotions, senses, and you just can't budge the person. As we started off with our emotion before. There's a emotion we said last week, you want to hear, so we can say it again. But the Velva was with us in Austria, I think. We said the emotion that a king had in his palace. His nephew was an orphan, and he brought him up, and he grew at the house of the king, and was very faithful, and the king was also very faithful to him. And he decided he has a daughter. Why not? You look for somebody outside, have someone inside, in-house. Let's do a shidduch. And he calls this nephew, listen, comes a time, you know me, I know you, you feel comfortable with me, I feel comfortable with you, I have a shidduch for you, Adrabah. My daughter. Oh, it sounds nice. It sounds good. But I have one condition. You take my daughter, we finish the shidduch now here, but without seeing her. And without seeing her. And he says, why without seeing her? Why without seeing her? So the king says, you know me by now? All the years that we were together, did you find me anything that I didn't do what I was supposed to do? And I know you too. And it's my daughter. I'm ready to give you my daughter. So, no, he felt himself arrogant. I'm not what I came here as an orphan. Today I have my own money and I have my own thoughts and I'm going to do a shidduch only if I see her. Gerecht.
Huh?
He's right. Yes. Why not? That's common sense. So the king says that the shach is the whole thing. the king says, okay, but if you want to see her, she has to see you too. And I'm notifying you right now, as long as she don't see you, the shidduch will come. Because she trusts me, and you trust me, and I trust you both, so it can work out. But once you want to see her, as long as I know my daughter, she's a little bit more than you in a lot of things, and I don't promise you you'll be able to that she'll want you. But he was standing on his, and the end of the story is she saw him, she said, ain't nothing doing. So now let's get to ourselves. The Shlomka's village uses this motion, the cloud is to go to Eretz Yisrael. And the Kuzbacha said, go into Eretz Yisrael and don't look what it is. No, you want to see it. I'm doing so much for you, your parents, ancestors, and I know exactly who you are, but I trust you. So just take Eretz Yisrael as is. But if you want to see Eretz Yisrael wants to see you too. What happens at the end? This generation didn't get it; the next generation got it. And this is a crossroad that every time that I'm busy to understand, every time I'm busy to feel either emotions or senses, or these days they call it a click, then I'm messing it up. Why? You know that Kodesh Baruch Hu thought about your shidduch 40 days before you were even created. He decided. And he also gave you the parameters, how it works, the sibis, as a shatachan, etc. But if you're still waiting, not only it should work out as much as I understand and I should feel, but I need that click. Click, I always say, is in the movies and in books and in fantasy stories. But how many years are you married?
Still looking for that connection.
And the click, as I would say, every morning there's a new click, we call it. That means, I would say, people get married with, everyone gets married with a ruchel. In the morning they meet themselves in a liar. That means we have to, somewhere along the line, better be connected to yourself, to the, what is myself, to my helplessness. And even so, I'm helpless, but I see that it's more, I should live with my Yishuv Adas, as I called it. Is that Yishuv Adas of English?
Peace and
Peace of mind.
Peace of mind.
Tranquility.
Tranquility, thank you.
Then nothing can blow us away. We spoke this week about a tree. We saw that. So as long as you're connected to your roots, so anything in the world can't blow you away. What's your roots? It's called to your atzmis. So we started saying a word from the Gun. Atu chaynein le'udam das malamed le'eno yishbinu. Baruch Hu gave for every person das, and he teaches the enosh binu understanding. What is enosh? Where does this come in suddenly? Atu chaynein le'udam das malamed binu. What is malamed enosh binu? Well, we have two types of das. We have the outside das, which is called explanations, which we're busy with that all day and all night, which that fuses my emotions, and that fuses my emotions that I'm attached and disconnected and ups and downs. Or I have my, which that's das, explanations, or das is mean to connect to my higher power, which that is believing that I'm in the, Bashanta calls it, I'm in the right place that I'm supposed to be, in the right time, in the right people. So then now we disconnect ourselves from the information, from the cognitive, and we go over to something which is called emuna, just like the king's daughter. If he brought you there and you checked him already all these years, but the problem is that even the Rebbeinu you're also living with understanding. So when you live with understanding, most people say, why did he do it on October 7th? Because they never come to believing, never saw that there's a king that brought them up, never saw, or they saw, but they believe that they can disconnect from that, and that's where things get messed up. Are you with me?
Somewhat.
Where did you lose me? If you can listen to me, you can be a chusn tonight. If you can listen to me, you can be a chusn tonight.
I knew the Rebbe was suggesting something.
I have no idea. I don't know. But every time is a shidduch. A shidduch is every place that you come. Every time, every person that you meet. Every time, Zman, Mukam, and Anashim. Says the Baal Shem Tov, Baruch Hu brought you there because he is part of your essence, which when you connect to him, you get yourself koiches. When a person sits all together alone, he feels himself lost. You sit with people, you suddenly feel yourself connected. As
So
you
then
said
the
before.
people go away.
Huh?
But then people go
All
away.
people go away, so I have to be on my own too. That means I can't be all together on my own, and I can't be all together codependent on people. That means what?
Interdependent, it's called.
Interdependent.
Interdependent.
There's dependent, there's
We're
codependent.
strong on ourselves, but we're still dependent on
And
others.
interdependent. That means I have to be strong on myself, but I cannot be strong myself without other people, because that helps me to be strong with myself. Because and myself is something which is called pnimis, which is called believing, which is called connection to my infinite. It's that I have to do work for that. That means without doing work, without doing homework, as I said before, you didn't hear what I said last week, but you did homework, you were talking back and forth. So you got to the tachlis without, sometimes what I talk, it also can mess you up. Why? There was a chus that came back from the Rebbe after he was there a few weeks, and he comes in and showed us that, Daddy, how was it? He said, oh, the Rebbe speaks such a minor. Don't bother me now. Nobody was able to connect with him, his wife. Nobody was able to connect with him. The Rebbe gesagt, am Minor and Atzilis, can't get to him. Till the neighbor comes in and says, Yankel, yeah, oh, what's with the 100 rubles that I borrowed you before you went to the Rebbe? I need it back. What are you talking about, 100 rubles? Yeah, Minor and Atzilis, what are you talking about? He comes over and gives him a zets on the back, and then he says, it looks like I'm not Atzilis yet. That means too much on Atzilis is a problem, and too much disconnected is also a problem. That means we have to be in an oil of chitzonius, but find in that chitzonius the pnimius, so you're much more connected to your pnimius when you find the pnimius in every place that you are, because the pnimius that's in all places is actually your pnimius that has to be added on to yourself to build yourself. Which the Maral says, that's the reason why you get married, right, that you get married with a ruchnu, and you're not going to get married with a liar as long as you don't have your things going. But when things start going and you started waiting for that click, I can tell you, the next morning, these days the guy said it's not what I dreamt about. But it's not anything from dreaming.
Can't I get a ruchelenderlei?
What?
Can't I get a ruchelenderlei?
In English they say you can't eat the cake and then just stay home. But as long as you're a bullshit, just keep on looking for it. Let me know if it worked out. So Lucia says very simple. we're by the Guan. He gave me also for the chisonis, we need explanations, we need understandings, how to go about things. We learn our IQ, we call it, but the IQ can mess up sometimes the EQ too. That is in the understanding, but in the connection with Das is also connection. We know that when we say Krishna, Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad, we all cover our eyes. Why do we cover our eyes? Because all distractions outside are taken away from my echad, from being one with the Bernstein. So when I cover up my eyes, that means I put a blind eye, so I get my eyes see much better. We'll call the Amina, the Psui Echzelekai, and without it. And we know people that are blind, their senses, the other senses, touching and listening, is much more stronger than because you're not losing out. So every time that a person goes into that demir, we'll call it, into that patience, into that silence, from one side, I'm not letting my senses give out what he can, but from the other side, his senses can connect to something more from himself, from his essence, that he cannot connect when you try to understand. HaKadosh Baruch, he's the one that gives us the das. But he gives us two types of das. He gives one das, the explanation, one das, the connection. These two don't go together.
And that's Enosh Bina.
About a second, I'm going weiter. And Malamed, but I have a problem with you. You're going to rather take the explanation that you want to see the girl, and you don't want to believe me, as we said. So I have to show you you're an Enosh. Enosh means Anush. You're a helpless creature. That means if she's going to see you, she ain't going to want you. So you might as well rely on me that I brought you to this place and I brought you to this time and to these people. So start working and find the connection with Pnimius, and automatically your whole look at your whole senses of Pnimius, you'll always find that there isn't a Yid, we'll call it, that you cannot connect him. Every Yid in the world is Chelik Elokai Normal. But as long as you're not busy, you want the whole cake, and you're not going to look at the Chelik of the cake, you'll never find a connection, because my wholeness and his wholeness don't go together. Questions? So Rusha said, sums it up in one word. Kadosh Baruch Hu gave us das, not to use my knowledge to know how excellent I am and how not excellent other people are, but he gave my das to see my enosh, to see my helplessness, and then I can use my das. I'd rather to come to a minute tachlis hayedir lagia laloy leida. But as long as I'm busy with my self-image, not with the image who I am, so I can't disconnect. In order to disconnect, I have to know what's the purpose, because Baruch Hu gives me a das. As long as that das connects me to my yeshiva das, I'm on track. Once that das disconnects me from my yeshiva das, then you're off track. So we say, Hanageh b'mes yitmo. What does mes mean? We say, Hashemayim shemayim l'Hashem. What's nusa? Levnei Uda. Shemayim shemayim l'Hashem. The part of your essence, of your Ein Sof, of your infinite, you ain't gonna get there. He gave you words that you can hold on to, but at the end of the day, you must go to Shemayim shemayim l'Hashem. And you have the bchira. either you're stubborn, akshanut, and you keep on, you want to feel, you want to understand. So the minute you're in a stuck place and you want to understand, you disconnected yourself. Because there's the time that we have to go over to emunah, and there's the time that I have to use understanding. As long as the understanding gives me tranquility, so I'm the right way. But once the Uritz wants to understand the Shemaim, that is Mesim right away. And not only it's Mesim, you're not living anymore, you become Yorededimu. You start falling because you don't know what. And you're angry, and you're right. You're right 100%. But if it's Vanachnu, Vanachnu, that means I have now a opportunity to go over from the shift of understanding and emotions and senses and feelings and clicks and go over to a minute that has to be Vanachnid. I really cannot do it on my own. I must have the king to tell me to do it. And he does it, which Abusha calls it Sibis. If he brought you to this place and brought you to these people and brought you into this matzav, you start finding yourself. Instead of blaming all the people, which you'll be right, start finding, if you're there, HaKadosh Baruch Hu brought you there. So that means you have to find the way between the emunah and the das. Too much emunah is no good, and too much das. What?
Balance.
Balance. Very nice words. How do you balance it?
But ignoring
We'll call it. You have to do exercise with your mind. That's what a person wants to do. Wants to be flexible. That means you have to be flexible with your understandings. You have to be flexible with your emotions. You have to be flexible with your senses. But sometimes the people take the flexible to the part of the body and they just forget about the part of the essence. Or sometimes they go into Atzilis in their sense and they ignore the part of the body. And so you have to be all the time flexible.
So it's
The Busha called it Amit Amalach, Amit Agalach.
so it's still
I don't
understanding.
say it in English. Huh?
I think everyone knows.
Yeah.
So it's still understanding the emotions, understanding what a person is feeling right now.
So there's
but not getting
right.
stuck at it.
So there's understanding that wants to come, doesn't want to budge when you don't understand. But there's an understanding that gets me to the Amina. At the end of the day, I have to get on a plane and go all the way down to India. And I have no idea what's going to be, but I have to do that step to do it. So what do? I fix and I this, and I have a credit card, and I have a place, and I have global, everything that I can just do just to get there. But if the old man doesn't want you there, nothing's going to go.
Oh, right. I'm just talking, let's say if someone is in the bind and is anxious about something, it's still being...
So when the anxiousness will get me off track. Anxiousness, as long as I have my Yishuv Adas, just go ahead with it. But once you feel that you're doing things that you wouldn't have done when you have Yishuv Adas, I think we spoke last time about the iPhones. As long as you can go places that you have no Wi-Fi, and you go you don't do the things that you wouldn't have done before you had that iPhone. For one of the things is people start the middle of Shemanesa and take out the iPhone, which you wouldn't have done that before you had it. And number 3 is that number 3, if you start on Shabbos sing, if it's ringing, so then you're in a problem. That means if you can't go over from your understandings to your emotions, it pushes you into places that you weren't supposed to, then you're off track.
But there is still a concept of Right, understanding what a person feels right now. You're already messed up. You're already anxious. You're already hurt. You're already whatever it is. And your wife tells you something, and oh my God, the whole health breaks loose. Right. So it's still understanding where that, what is the trigger behind it, or what is the emotion behind it, or what is the need behind it. But still, it's still, just clarifying the balance. Right. Still clarifying what the emotions are, but still taking that once you kind of feel yourself. Okay, I'm angry right now. Connecting that with Eibushter, not getting stuck within the anger, or getting stuck within with the hate or whatever it is.
We were explaining the Shiur before that as the coping mechanism, which sometimes it's a very healthy thing, or sometimes we overdo it.
We're stuck with the coping.
So if the coping mechanism brings me to a better place, I'm on track. But when a person uses the coping mechanism, we have no problem with using you're overdoing it, because I have a trauma, I have all kinds of messed up conclusions in my life. But actually, if we believe that there is someone here that's controlling, when the pilot is up there and they tell him, listen, now you have to change your height, you have to change your altitude, you have to change Christ, whatever it is they call it there, and you ain't going to change, you're going to be in big trouble. Plane can go down and suddenly tell him, up, go up. So he's going to start there, aber ich verstehe nicht. Bitte es werden verstehen, sie sagen dann noch.
Okay, can I ask a question about
Yeah, that's what we're here for.
the mushroom of the eights that you spoke about last week? I mean, it was in the Nekudas.
Yeah. So now what I added on, I don't know how much you explained it there, because I was working with him. You should explain it a little better. This the kash was very good, I think.
Who's kasha?
And the Nekudot Shel the questions were very good.
Right.
But the answers were a little.
The Q&A, the
Oh no, I was talking about that we have the shorashim and the alim. The tchunot, that's the senses. That's the geza. Is the tchunot.
Says tchunot.
Oh,
so what usually comes down, usually the person's emotions at the end of the day.
And that's the alim. That's what shakes
so
the
that,
ruach.
and without emotions, you ain't gonna connect nobody into anything.
Right.
But emotions are set up of ahava and yira. They don't go together. Means the right and left don't go together. They have to find a way to balance it.
That's the geza.
That is the shorashim.
That's the shorashim. So what does the geza do? That's what I'm not clear about.
Okay, so there's moichen, there's midas, and the midas itself is in three layers. This is the layer from the moichen. Then the inner parts that keep it going are the midas. That's the lev. Then you have your hands and then you have your feet, and the whole part that's moving. So the feet, the feet from the tree have to be in the earth. Because if it ain't the earth, it ain't gonna keep itself. You listen to me, Shlomo. I'm saying something new.
Trying to find the I didn't get to read it, Shabbos.
Okay.
It's amazing.
So, yeah. And what's the difference between this world and that world? In this world, the most place that you can find your connection to your source is in your energy, is in your helplessness, is in that ufa, because the first creation was ufa, and Kadosh Baruch Hu put the koach, the energy, that we have till today, that from the ayin we can make a yesh, is in the ufa. Because you put in a kernel, and it rots, and it builds something new altogether, and much better than it was before. So every time that a person goes through this energy, as we call this helplessness, it's actually an opportunity not to rot altogether, but accept the rottenness that is part of the progress. Then the Ein Sof can do for you the work. But if you're not going to put that kernel in the earth, even though the earth has the courage to do it, nothing's going to grow. Or you're going to put it into the earth and start looking every day, opening it up to see what's going on, and nothing's going to happen too. That means we have to put it into. You lost me already. You're out for the night. But if you're not going to cover up and let now the boss run the show, ain't gonna. That's actually what Kushbachi created. That means there's a difference between this world and the other world, we call it. This world, Kushbachi is hiding under something materialism, on the ufa. And as long as you're not ready to be ufa, you cannot find your koiches. In the other world, it's just the opposite around. In the other world, it's your koiches is beyond you, and here the koiches are on the bottom. But you asked a good question. So again, what was your question?
What's the gezer?
Yes, what's the gezer?
So the gezer is in the earth. The deeper it goes down to the earth, it's connected to the chiyas.
It's connected.
ככל שאתה מחובר לשורשים, אפילו שהרוחות, your emotions are working, but it can't throw you over, because he has a foundation that can't push him away.
מה זה שורשים? זה שם מחובר לעצמי או זה שם מחובר לעצמי?
Okay, אנחנו talking about a mushla and nimshla. Not every mushla is going to nimshla. You're trying to understand this, at the end of the day you have to believe. But I'm giving, as long as you're using my ideas, that at the end of the day you have to believe that the king set out this mahalach. And I cannot explain it at the end of the day, because as much as you explain it, explain them, you're going to get mad. My daughter's going to see you, she don't want you, this, yeah. He told them the truth. But the ego, as we call it, yeah. So it's ego, is edging God out. That's good.
That's add to my notes.
Oh, it's a good bumper sticker.
That's good.
Make a bumper sticker. See if it stops.
It's masculine. Ego, E-G-O, is edging God out.
Edging.
Edging.
כן,
In order to keep it going, we must have this chabir every Sunday. We must have it, talk it open, and be together. So that gives us strength to go into a Shabbos, to be on my own. Even when I have the emotion turbulence, I can go into the silent spot to connect myself. But if a person that never did this work, never spoke about it, was never open with anything, with his failures, and suddenly he looked at the Tzadas, he sees himself, they started explaining themselves, and they didn't want to live at a minute, so they were really naked. But it didn't change anything, they were naked before, naked after. But and that's what they start covering up, and you keep covering up till today. You have to be open with the Rebbe. Shkoyach for listening. Any questions? Cultive Yadi. Ja, kannst du auslöschen.